Hey guys, it's Val. Today I'm going to be making lemon raspberry cupcakes. So first we have 3/4 cup sugar and 1 1/4 cup all-purpose flour. Next we have 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, 1 tablespoon of finely grated lemon zest, 6 tablespoons of sour cream, and 2 teaspoons of baking powder. So all the way in the back, we have a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 6 tablespoons of unsalted butter at room temperature, and then we have 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Lastly, we have 3 large egg whites, 2 tablespoons of water, and 4 tablespoons of milk. So what I like to do ahead of time is measure out my ingredients so that everything in the end is easier and that all I have to do is kind of mix everything together. Alright, so the first thing I do before I start baking is I wash my hands. This is so important because especially now that we're in the middle of a pandemic. Next, I add the cupcake liners to my cupcake pan. I only have one that takes 6, so yeah, it's pretty tiny, but it's efficient. Before we start, I just quickly check that my mixer is all set to go, and then we can begin. Alright, so I started off by creaming together the butter and the sugar until the mixer was light and fluffy, and then I added the sour cream, the vanilla extract, and the lemon zest, and mixed it until it was all combined. Next, I added in the egg whites in 2 different batches, mixing until well combined after each batch. Then I just kept scraping down the sides of the bowl as much as I needed. In a separate bowl, I combined all of the dry ingredients. This included the flour, the baking powder, and the salt. In a small bowl, I combined the milk, the water, and the lemon juice. Then I added half of my dry ingredients into the batter and mixed. Next, I added the milk mixture into the batter and mixed. Then I added the other half of the dry ingredient mix into the batter, and I just kept scraping down the bowl as needed. Once I was done mixing, I filled the cupcake liners about 3/4 full, and I baked for a good 15 to 17 minutes. The ingredients for the icing include 4 ounces of raspberries, 1/2 cup of salted butter, room temperature, 1/2 cup of shortening, 4 cups of powdered sugar, raspberries, and lemon slices for toppings. This recipe calls for you to have a food processor to make the raspberry puree, but I don't have a food processor, so I just use my Ninja blender, and it works pretty well. So I blended the raspberries in my blender for a couple of minutes. It took a while because it's not a food processor, but it worked pretty well and I got it to work within a couple of minutes. Once the raspberries started to finally mix and I got a puree, I beat the butter and the shortening together until it was all well combined and smooth. Next, I added about half of the powdered sugar and mixed until very well combined and smooth. After I put in around half of the powdered sugar mixture, I decided to add a little bit of the raspberry puree just so it can mix a little bit better. Then I went back and added the other half of the powdered sugar mixture. To finish it all off, I decided to add the rest of the raspberry puree, and it ended up looking really nice. I kept checking on my cupcakes and making sure they were okay, and then I decided to bag the icing. As I was putting the icing in the bag, I realized I didn't have a metal tip that I typically do have. I don't know where it went, but I couldn't find it. So to improvise, I decided to cut a very, very small corner off of the bag, and it actually made the icing look really cool, but it just wasn't how I expected. Then to top everything off, I put a raspberry and a lemon slice on each of the cupcakes so that they would have some toppings. So yeah, this is how I made the cupcakes. Like I said, this isn't my recipe, this is from Life, Love, and Sugar. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for more videos in the future. We'll be posting a lot more here on our YouTube channel and on our Instagram, which you guys should follow, which will be linked in the description below. So yeah, see you guys next time.